Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. We can make it over anything when we focus on our liberty. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. We can make it over anything when we focus on our liberty. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. We are rising into victory, celebrating our humanity. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Yeah, we are rising into victory, celebrating our humanity. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. You say. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. You say. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Hey. We can make it over anything when we focus on our liberty. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah.
Welcome in, everybody, to this beautiful Wednesday. I'm so glad to see you all here on a Wednesday afternoon, hanging out with me yet again. What's up, Monica? It is so wonderful to see you in the chat. I think we're going to have a really good conversation today. I have a good conversation plan, and we just started doing something new on the channel. And if you look on the screen, I don't know which side of the screen is going to appear for you, so I'm just going to point to both sides. And so one of these fingers is pointing to the right side. But there's a QR code now because we've started doing this new thing. And I say new, I was doing this before, right? I was developing these study guides and work guides to a few of my videos. And it was just taking me way too much time to get those done, and created a lot of back-end work because I was managing the storefront where we were using to kind of put all that stuff through. So I'm having to make sure that the code isn't breaking. And then also handling the customer service aspect. And so I was like, "Ooh, man, I cannot reasonably." What's up, Kyle? I can't, sustainably keep doing this. So I pulled back a little bit. But some of the people on the team now have been introducing me to some faster ways to get some things done. And so we just tested out these new micro courses that we're developing with some of our content. So the video I did yesterday now has a micro course out. And so if you go check out that video, you'll see the link in the description. And you can feel free to check it out or not. That's on you. I ain't gonna judge you. That's on you. But so I'm also have one available for today's talk as well. And it's so crazy because like I was working all the way up till this moment to get it done. And so I just got it done like right while the song was ending. I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about that, and just a lot of the things that we're working on. I know y'all hear me talk about Bridge City so much, and Bridge City is like, man, that's my pride and joy. That's the thing that I am the most excited about right now. But DLDD World Group, which is the larger umbrella of our work, is working on so much. Always and forever. Like and like I have like 2 or 3 books that I have to get out that I've not gotten out yet. You know what I'm saying? Um and then I have a few apps in the background that I've had to leave alone until I can get back to it. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I like that. Not new stuff for Wednesday. You know what? That might be, we might name the Wednesday series in SFW. There's new stuff for Wednesdays, baby. I love that. I love that. Oh man, paying homage to James Earl Jones, man. Like that voice, that voice, man. I can't get the quote right from Star Wars, but I can get a few quotes from Lion King. You deliberately disobeyed me. Like that's like, man, that joint, as a kid growing up wanting a father, I was like, man, that's so nice for him to just say it so clear and articulate like that. Like, now I was amazed. Good morning, Jude. Good morning, Jude. Listen, y'all, today we're going to be talking about how sociology destroyed my theology. And we're gonna go through a we're going to go through a lot of we're going to go through just why, like just why and how. But before we do, like I was kind of going into this segue about some of the things that I'm doing with the ODD World Group. So I'm going to share my screen here a little bit. Yeah, this is something that I've just made available to my patrons, and it's called the Playground. It's something that we've been working on. I just told y'all about the micro courses. People who get the micro courses also get access to an accompaniment web app for each of the courses. And the web app, it isn't super deep. I'm not trying to sell myself as a tech genius or anything like that. Like so so bad sociology. I love that. Did you see the song we wrote for next month? The concept and lyrics are posted in the music club. Ooh, thank you. I will definitely go check it out. I will definitely go check it out. Yay, I'm excited about that. I can't wait. So within this, and let me go to the actual screen on mine. So this is what we're calling the playground, and it's just where all of these little apps that we're building based off of content, we're just kind of putting them here. And right now, like I said, my patrons get have access to kind of come in here and play around. But I just finished this one. Yoink. Oh, nope. I'm going to have to share this tab instead. And this is the one for today's talk. And so it has a deconstruction lab. It has a reality sandbox that it calls it. Oh, yes, this is so cool. It has an institutional loop when you just kind of deal with institutional power. And this is kind of giving you a little insight into what we're talking about today. This is kind of giving you a little insight. It gives you kind of like a sociological campus. And all of this is dynamic. Like all of this is going to rock with you, roll with you. You answer these questions, and then it'll kind of give you a little thing at the end. And then, of course, you actually get access to my script and my transcript, which I'm not about to let you see it now. You're not. Yeah. Who can tell me what that's from? Who can tell me what that's from? Uh, 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 You got to be a millennial to get this one. If you're a millennial, every millennial has seen this movie. I saw this movie when I was living with my aunt and uncle, Aunt Bet and Uncle James, and their house was across the street from a train track that still ran quite frequently when I was coming up. That's it. That's it, Richard. Yes, it is. That made me so mad. That was about as aggravating as Dad Not Found and Richie Rich. Is that going too far? Oh yes, like it was like Jurassic Park was an amazing movie, y'all. It was an amazing movie. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to show that to y'all a little bit because that's just one of the fun things that we've been working on, and I like getting a chance to do all of that. Okay, so I think that was enough of a runner up on this. I think we can kind of go ahead and jump into the conversation. Let me make sure I don't have any announcements that I need to make. Oh yeah, like listen, at Bridge City, we do a movie night every month. I don't know if y'all know this or not, but you don't have to be members to show up at our events. So like if you've been looking for an excuse to pop up and like say I want to see what's going down at Bridge City, like you don't have to be a member to come to movie night. You don't have to be a member to come to or quite a few things. But movie night is the one that stands out. I was gonna say you don't have to be a member to be at house parties, which you technically don't. But no, you don't, because we'd want our members, like, if they're getting recognized or acknowledged at a house party, we'd want them to be able to invite their friends. So that's just my public reminder that, like, anytime you see anything going on at Bridge City, whether you are a member or not, you're invited. You just treat it like a Sunday session. Like, just roll up in here. Um, man. Yeah, I think the Discord stuff is restricted, and that is one of the things I kind of like. Like you have to go through membership to get into the Discord, um, and that's to keep the Discord safe. Y'all know Discord is like the wild wild west. It's like a Dollar General in a rural area. There are no rules. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever like pulled up in the parking lot in a Dollar General in a rural area? Like you trying to pull in, somebody trying to pull out, and nobody's using the right in way or the out way. Like it's just horrible. It's the wild wild west. The little parts that have the yellow signs that clearly mean the yellow lines that clearly mean do not park here. Those just get completely disregarded. And like we all know the rules of the Dollar General parking lot, and that is the person with the biggest tires makes the rules in a rural area. I'm just saying, maybe y'all don't know. Maybe y'all don't know. Couldn't find the link to the movie night. All right, movie night is save on closing sale. Oh yeah. I think mine is having one. Movie night is bridgecity.app slash actually before I just say it, let me make sure I won't say the wrong thing. But it's literally a link that you can go to. And I'm gonna have to be careful. Yeah. It's bridgecity.app slash movie dash night. Bridgecity.app slash movie app. And since I'm already kind of sharing my screen, I'll share this with y'all and let y'all see. Because I don't show y'all too much, do I? All right, so I'm sharing my screen. Share this tab instead. All right, so and let me change this so y'all can get a little better view. All right, so this is what we call our movie night theater, and if you come and watch here, you'll see this is the last movie that we watched, The Normal Heart, which was hosted by Mark. He's a new member on the team, and man, he's come on strong, and just did well. And so we did The Normal Heart, which if you've never seen that movie, it was my first time seeing it, and wow, it's a good watch. It's a good watch. But you can also catch up on all of our movie nights, except for Don't Look Up. Like it's there, but if you click it, nothing's gonna happen, or it's gonna go to Sinners. So and just in full transparency, and this was our first movie night. In full transparency, I'm probably gonna have to take this down soon because it dawned on me in our last meeting. We didn't talk about it, but it dawned on me as like, hey, dude, you're technically hosting an illegal movie watching site because literally you can click on all of these except for Don't Look Up and watch these movies. So get there while the getting is good, I think is what I'm trying to say there. But no, the link will always but this is pretty much the link will always be the same. This is what we call our movie theater. When I get the time to actually change it, I'll the movies won't still be up there, right? Like right now, again, it's just an incredible oversight, but it's there. And so because of our oversight, if you've not seen Sinners, there you go. If you've not seen Dogma, Idiocracy, if you don't have access to John Lewis, Good Trouble, This Is How We Change the World is a trigger warning because that one is literally a church documentary. It's a documentary on the church and elevation, and it's not a negative church documentary. It's a documentary done by the church, which maybe we should watch the Hillsong documentary. And then I know the next movie night for, is that this month or next month? Yeah. Movie night for next month is going to be God's Not Dead, which I've also not seen that. And our head of community is going to be, she's going to be rocking that out. All right. And so, yeah, so that's movie night. bridgecity.app/movie-night. That will always take you to our movie night. And as of right now, you have a few movies you can catch up on. And then if you actually go to bridgecity.app/global-campus, you can also get to our lobby where you can just kind of explore a little bit more. And of course, this is still, y'all ain't seeing anything I'm seeing. Let me do this. And I'm not going to stay in this too long. I just figured since I was here, I'd show it to you. But you go here. This is bridgecity.app/global-campus. You go here, it gives you a great jumping point to kind of just explore a lot of different things that are going on. You can go to the Welcome Center, which I'm not going to go to all of these right now because they're all going to open in different tabs. The Arts Center is the only one that's not up yet, but the Media Center, share this tab instead. Let's see. Yep, you would have thought that the movie theater would have been in there, but it's not. Oh, dang. So anyway, all right. So now you got some information. They had me rooting for the bad guy, but there is no way they could keep God locked down. I know it. There's a rumor that the lead singer for Newsboys is an atheist. Now, I'd be interested to know about that rumor. Like Newsboys used to be on my on my radar when I was a youth pastor, which of course they weren't my favorite guys, but I knew of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, in the little area we lived in, they would come. They would come. Yeah, God's Not Dead was an interesting choice. Our head of community picked it, but that's like our movie nights. They meet a lot of various different needs. Sometimes we watch a movie just to laugh and enjoy the movie. Sometimes we watch the movie like this past month's movie night to bring attention to awareness to something. The first movie night we did was to watch something that kind of parallels what building something like Bridge City looks like from the ground up. So this one is probably just one to laugh at, like, oh my goodness, can you see how stupid this is? That makes me want to go back and watch the Left Behind movies. Okay. All right. So I think, yeah, I've done a solid enough intro. Everybody that's ready to be here should be here. And if you think anybody's missing, go ahead and like the video, share the stream, and tell somebody to get in here, because while we're ultimately talking about my story, I think this is something that can be helpful for a lot of people. And so my conversation of choice today is how sociology destroyed my theology. And so really, and it's no, I don't think it's any coincidence that the same year I fully deconverted was the same year I received my degree in social sciences. Like I don't think it's no coincidence at all. And as I've said, it wasn't just my sociology classes that were challenging me. It was like, heck, even my drama classes, just being introduced to concepts, which y'all have heard me talk about this before, being introduced to concepts like the suspension of disbelief. And like, and I can like, man, I can almost emotionally remember how hearing that made me feel. I was so uncomfortable hearing this term. It was not a religious conversation. It wasn't a conversation about supernaturalism, spiritualism. It wasn't a conversation about angels or demons. It wasn't a conversation about theist versus atheist or deist or anything else in between. It was simply a conversation about this thing that we do in order to enjoy movies, these things that we do in order to enjoy an experience, these logical irrationalities about us, where like, no, of course I don't believe anybody can fly. Of course I don't really believe that, but I'm willing to suspend my disbelief so that I can enjoy these 2 hours in the theater. And then I remember like, whoa, especially after everything I had experienced by then in the church realm. And I hate to be all pluggy today, but if you don't know, check out my book, Black Non-Believer Next Door. I kind of go into a lot of this. But as I'm looking at all of this and kind of exploring it, I'm like, whoa, that's what I'm doing at church. That's when I go to church, I know, especially at this time, because I had been the healing evangelist guy. Especially at this time, I'd been the revivalist. So at this time, like when I go in church and somebody's saying God is a healer, I know God isn't actually going to heal anybody. That's where I am in 2010 to 2014. No, I know that God isn't actually going to heal anybody, but I am willing to suspend my disbelief for the moment. It's like going to the movies and watching Titanic and hoping that the ship doesn't sink. Now, you know good and well how the story goes. It's a historical fact that the ship went down. But you sitting in the movie theaters hoping, oh my goodness, I hope the ship doesn't go down. That's a suspension of disbelief. That's just like me sitting in church and watching somebody pray over somebody who's been in a wheelchair and hoping that that person gonna get out of that wheelchair and their legs are gonna grow back, knowing good and well that that's not something that happens or is gonna happen. And the way you know that is because nobody really leaves disappointed. Oh, dang, I'm talking better than y'all responding now. Like, that's when you know that you're dealing with people who don't even believe what they're participating in. Because if they really believed it, they'd leave disappointed. No, y'all ain't ready for this. Y'all ain't ready for this. No. If you really believed that God can heal limbs and God can raise the dead, then there would be more disappointment in the church than anywhere because it doesn't happen. I've been at the revival meetings where everybody, like I've been at the Todd Bentley meetings. I don't know if y'all remember this crazy mofo, where this dude is claimed to have raised, like at that time, he was claiming to have raised at least like 30 people from the dead. You know, and so people are bringing, this was down in Florida, people are bringing the sick to him. People are bringing people in wheelchairs. People are bringing bedridden people and all that stuff. People are bringing people who are deformed. And we're having these revivals that last 30 to 60 days of nobody getting healed of anything visibly. All the healings are headaches and shit. All of the healings are the mysterious, your leg was just a few inches shorter than the other leg, and that's why you've had this back pain. And then the healings that seem to be the most sensational also were the most strategic. And it's like, well, no. If all of this is going on, why aren't people leaving disappointed? See, listen, disappointment is the child of false expectations. If I truly expected that somebody was going to get healed tonight and I left and the only thing I saw was headaches, I'd be really disappointed. But because it's not a real expectation, it is a suspension of my disbelief so that I can enjoy the moment with everybody else. That's in Drama 101. That's in one of the classes I'm taking in my freshman year, which I went to college 4 years too late. Not 4 years too late, but 4 years later. No, that's Drama 101. I'm sitting there like, what? Wait a minute. That's what I do. It may not have been what I started doing, but after everything I had seen by that point, after as many people as I prayed for, no, I believed in raising the dead. You know, my early ministry days had me reading about John G. Lake, Lester Sumrall, Smith Wigglesworth. I really bought into the Rod Parsley Fugazi, man. Like, I was like, we're gonna raise people up. The church that I was a part of in Ozark, which is not too far from here, the church that I was a part of here, like Lester Sumrall had been to that church. Benny Hinn had been to that church. And I just knew God did these things. Just knew it. And then at some point, it's like, no, I don't want to call it pretending. I mean, that's what it is. It's pretending. But it's like, no, you're suspending your disbelief. No, if you really believed it, you wouldn't be able to contain it to church. Darante, come on now, let's be real, bruh. If you really believe you could lay hands on people who are wheelchair bound and they get out at it, your office hours are really just going to be Sundays from 12 to 1. I mean, from 1 to 12 or whatever. Still didn't get that time right. And your office hours are going to be 2 days. No, bro, if you really believed it, you'd be waiting at every grocery store for somebody to pull into the handicapped parking spot. I got you today. I got the miracle you've been waiting for. Like, no, you don't really believe this. No, if you really believed it, anybody that came to work and they're missing a limb, you ran into the right person today. If you really believe this, like they'd have to be fighting you out of the hospital. Like, get out of here now, because you in there raising people up. But no, it just happens between the hours of 10 and 12 at your church. That's when this kicks in. That's at that moment, that's not a belief, that's a suspension. This is a temporary break in my normal programming to satisfy the cultural requirements. Dang, y'all, I'm still in the introduction. Like, okay. So the thing is, what theology did is it gave me sacred explanations for human behavior. Sociology gave me testable, observable, and repeatable ways to understand the same behavior without needing supernatural assumptions. So at some point, sociology helped me realize that the supernatural is, I remember Benny Hill too. Dang it. Yeah. Sociology helped me realize that the supernatural labels were not explanations. So like, you go to a church service and the song just, I do you want even better? The first time, Wigglesworth was the dude, man. It did make us look like spooks. But dang it, where was I going with this? Dang it, that took me off. The Smith Wigglesworth. That was like one of my favorite dudes. And now I'm pretty sure, like, Okay. So I didn't need the supernatural, I didn't need the supernatural assumptions. I didn't need that. The supernatural claims weren't actually explaining anything. They didn't have any explanatory power. So you go into a church, you experience something, and someone just says, "Oh, that's God." Okay, well, what the hell does that mean? Like, how is this happening? And that was really kind of the difference for me. Theology told me what to call things. Sociology taught me how to study them, and giving me that freedom to study things also gave me freedom to be very honest and to realize that, watch this, that my honesty wasn't some type of betrayal. Oh, let's sit there for a minute. And this is just for people who deconstructed. If you didn't deconstruct, maybe you've never wrestled with this before. But if you were previously religious, whatever your religion was, much of religious indoctrination, in order to be effective, has to make self-honesty or self-awareness feel like betrayal. So I remember them first years, me laying hands on people. Like I remember the first time that I laid hands on somebody. Like I remember it. And I don't know what's gonna happen. And I'm nervous because, like, if nothing happens, then they probably not gonna let me get up here again. Not in these type of churches. You know. And that actually leads me back to the story I was going into. The first time I felt what was labeled as the Holy Ghost. And believe it or not, it wasn't in church. It wasn't in church. It was in an environment much like church. It was in school. And this wasn't, technically in the South. It's still the South. It was Maryland, but you know how people in the DMV are. They don't like to see themselves as the South, even though they right there under the Mason-Dixon line. But anyway, it was in Maryland at James Madison Middle School, where the choir director was Mr. Sylvester. Was it? No, it's Percy Sledge, I think his name is. Sylvester Sledge, Percy Sledge. His last name was Sledge. It was Mr. Sledge. And he had us doing, and which I loved about the musical program at up there as compared to down here, was that we did popular music, but we also did gospel music. For whatever reason, Christian music has always been safe in public schools. And that should be alarming a little bit. I think that should be alarming. It's not like they singing everybody's religious songs, but all of the ones that have been deemed appropriate by Christianity are the songs that kind of get accepted in. But we were singing Kirk Franklin. And my family, they were like Christians, but they were like old school Christians who didn't really go to church. And so they weren't really on the Kirk Franklin tip. So this was my first time kind of hearing his stuff other than Stomp, And so they had us doing a song called My Life Is in His Hands. Let's see. You don't have to worry, and don't you be afraid. I'm going to get these words wrong. Done and in the morning, and troubles they don't last always. And they go, but there's a friend in Jesus who can wipe your tears away. And it said, and if your heart is broken, just lift your hands and say, and then they go, oh, I know that I can make it. I know that I can stand. I wasn't jumping up that high. No matter what may come my way. And for whatever reason, we were singing these songs just in a little choir at school. yeah, joy comes in the morning, We were singing this little choir at school. And when I hit that part, I know that I can make it. Something just hit me, and I just remember just being flushed with tears and having a strong emotional response to that. Very strong emotional response to that. And at that moment, this is probably one of the first times that I'm allowed to actually kind of sing freely as me, and I'm a very expressive singer. And so I'd never been in that environment before, so I'm sure that kind of had played some roles in my emotive reaction. But there was a language already in the room approved by theology. And so it was like, hey, Darante, what you're experiencing is the Holy Spirit. That's what you're experiencing. And it's like, huh. And of course, at that time, you're like, sure, these people know what they're talking about. It's a ghost that's doing this to me. And when you think about it in hindsight, you're like, that actually doesn't make any sense at all. Like in no other context would I accept that as a rational answer, like not after 16. Like, no, a ghost did it. Like, no. But eventually you realize, and especially going through going through my social science classes and apparently my drama classes, and my economics classes. Oh my goodness, micro and macro economics, just like, like, oh, okay. Uh, man, this is why I'm much more stoic in my later ages. All right, so the big point is the theology told me what to call things. Sociology taught me how to study them. You know, yeah, they told me this. It said I caught the Holy Ghost, and I was like, all right then. All right, this is what it feels like. But then I realized the Holy Ghost wasn't that dang holy, because then people who be catching the Holy Ghost at church was still giving head on the church bus right afterwards. And I'm like, does the Holy Ghost wear off? And if so, like, that's a shorter run time than aspirin. Like you just took the Holy Ghost just like 45 minutes ago, and you already giving head. Like that's man, that pill ain't working for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm just these were thoughts that came to my mind, you know. Oh man. Yeah, head on the holy bus. Like that's when that's why I had started thinking when people were catching the Holy Ghost after a while, I was like, that's they demons. Like it can't be the Holy Ghost, because how they giving head shortly afterwards. And it's just like there's a lot of stories like that. Now I think those are the stories I need to put in my books. All the stories that okay, this is gonna go down a rabbit hole. All right, let's come back. So sociology helped me ask, is this happening in more than one place? Who benefits from this explanation? What social conditions produce this behavior? What role does power play? What patterns repeat across churches, families, institutions, races, classes, and cultures? What happens when people are rewarded for obedience and punished for dissent? That took a wild turn. That didn't even cross my mind. Oh my goodness. You know, throwing the Holy Ghost under the bus and tickling the balls, apparently. Okay, see, y'all can't. This is why I can't mess with the chat, man. This is why I can't mess with the chat. Mm. So, like having an actual way to understand and to be and to be honest about what I'm seeing and what I'm experiencing, and to not feel like my honesty was a betrayal. Like that's what, oof, like that's what my social science classes really did for me. And I don't think any of my instructors were trying to do that, because they unlocked a beast that Christianity had did a really good job of caging. And I could feel that beast being uncaged while sitting in some classes. You know, I could start feeling that James Baldwinian rage that Christianity had did a really good job to soften, because I was finally giving myself permission to be honest and not feeling like my honesty was a betrayal. And then actually coming to the place of realizing that no, my dishonesty about what I was seeing was a betrayal of me. That was a betrayal of my own understanding, a betrayal of my own intellect to ignore what I'm seeing. That's why people don't like me today, because I will not ignore what I'm seeing. Like, no, I've been down that rabbit trail. I've been down there. Oh man, man. Oh, answering them with your youth group this week. Oh, that is pretty cool. That is awesome. That is awesome. So, and it's those type of understandings that theology couldn't give me. Number one, theology couldn't give me honesty without betrayal. And I think that's the biggest problem right there, because whew, which I think my last video, like I just kind of ruined theology. Like, yeah, I don't want to hear it. Let's get back to humanology. All right. And I'm saying that tongue in cheek, but I do kind of mean it. Like, all of theology is obsessed with humans. So let's that's how you know that human fingerprints are all over it. But theology typically gives thought stoppers and not giving explanations. The theology gave me meaning from inside the system, but sociology gave me a way to examine the systems themselves. And so one of the biggest lies people are told about leaving religion is that if you lose theology, you lose your ability to make sense of the world. And I'm like, from my opinion, theology isn't helping make many people make much sense of the world. Like one of the driving causes for one of the driving motivators for people who believe in flat earth are also one of the driving motivators for people who fall victim for predatory scams. Theology. You know what I'm saying? Theology. I think like those are things that I started thinking about. Like that's why I'm like, man, you start seeing that a lot of bad decisions that are made collectively regular, or show up statistically almost predictably, a lot of these things are aligned with theology. And somebody said, well, it's just bad theology, is good theology. I'd say all theology is bad theology. All theology is based on a being that is claimed to be beyond understanding, yet people are claiming to have an understanding of the incomprehensible. That's a logical clusterfuck. You're not going to get good decisions out of that. You've created a snake eating its own tail. There's nothing good coming out of that. Like I know it's morbid to think about, but in the United States, like 9 times out of 10, if you read a story about a mother killing her child, infant child, there's some theological things happening in the peripheral. And the problem is, like, me and my wife was talking a few weeks ago, and she was like, I think I'm starting to realize that we're headed to idiocracy. And I was like, I think it's the other way around. I think it's our arrogance that makes us think we're headed to it, as opposed this ain't who we've been the whole damn time. No, it's always been idiocracy. We can now just see it. There's just now more smart of us, more smart people of us to look around and is like, oh, damn. We've been doing a lot of stupid time. But we've been doing a lot of stupid stuff for a very long time. Because when you mix theology with immaturity, you're always going to get harmed. You're always going to get harmed. And as a species, we're dealing with collective immaturity. And I don't even mean that in a negative way. I don't mean that in a way they're like, oh, humans are so stupid. I mean, we still new, y'all. You know, like we're still figuring this thing out. It's only been like 600 years since, not even that long, but roughly maybe 400 to 500 years since we've stopped killing each other on sight in mass. It used to be a given in humanity's run-ins that if you saw somebody you didn't know, somebody was dying. And we're just getting this together. So to just be getting this together and to be thinking we got it together, boy, that's a massive arrogance. And a lot of that arrogance we're borrowing from theology. You know, we're not falling down, we're climbing up. And it's the people who are telling us that we're falling down that are keeping us stuck. You know? And I don't want to just put it on them. It ain't just them. It's the people who also sit by and do absolutely nothing while it's happening. Just nothing. No, your biggest flex is that you saw it happening. Well, good for you being proud of being absolutely useless. Way to wear that badge. I'm sorry. Like that's another side of me, you know. So no, like when you lose your theology, you don't at least for me, you don't really lose your ability to make sense of the world if you're finally ready to deal with the world instead of the inherited scripts. Now, dealing with the world, bruh, it requires a lot of not just deconstruction of your beliefs, but deconstructions of your ego of the world. Like, man, that's one of theology gave me like an ego out of this world. And I'm gonna tell you what I mean, because I don't think you know what I mean. You know, this is what I mean with theology gives you an ego out of this world. Why is this happening to me? You think you're the only person going through something? That's what theology does to you. Why is this happening to me? Because the moment you start assigning agency to circumstances instead of consequences to choices, ooh, then you make yourself exceptional. Life is doing something to me. Man, it's theology. See, like some of the stuff, like I was happy being a silent atheist, not saying anything. Life was more peaceful, you know? But I also started realizing how much harm theology, period, was doing to people. This is one of the reasons like I could have stayed a pastor and just didn't believe in my heart. It could have just been like an acting gig. I probably could have did it a whole lot better after that. You know, like some people sign up to be Mickey Mouse. Now, if somebody can sign up to be Mickey Mouse, I can sign up to play a preacher, you know? But then the reason I couldn't, the reason I couldn't is because it wasn't just bad theology that was the problem. Theology, period, was a problem. Even when I'm telling you God loves you, I am giving you a worldview that the reality of this world cannot support or sustain. I cannot take something that is bigger than all of your problems and says it loves you while all of your problems are beating your ass. And the thing that loves you is just letting it. No. See, it sounds like good theology. No, God loves you. But that theology, period, is problematic because in the absence of an actual manifested God, they're going to assign agency somewhere, which then just gets you down a rabbit hole of questions that have nothing to do with nothing. Now you asking things like, if God loves me, why did I lose my job? Now, you would never ask such a loving question in most cases. You would never ask, "Hey, if my parent loves me, why did I lose my job?" One has nothing to do with the other, unless it was your parents who fired you. I would say, like, so some people think, like, "Oh no, bad theology is the problem," and I'm not going to beat those people up. Please fight bad theology. But just know I'm a spectrum removed where I'm like, I think all theology is the problem. Because in most cases, theology is substituting an understanding in a field that it has no practice in. So like when Mr. Sledge, my co-director, who likely meant well, and all those other classmates who likely meant well, when they told me that, hey, this experience you're having, this experience that you're having that is manifesting biologically, okay, that is obviously taking on something psychologically, okay? It seems to be profound enough where it's not just impacting you in the room, but also impacting other people in the room, which is sociology. So now we have an event that exists in the realms of biology, psychology, which we can just go ahead and add neurology in there as well, and sociology. These are four sciences that are well established, that are well versed, well equipped, well studied, but none of these are ever pulled on for theological explanations. It's just, no, that's the Holy Ghost. But this explanation you just gave me gives me no explanatory power, and it also externalizes this to a point where I just have to wait till the conditions are just right and God decides to step in the water and do something. As opposed to me realizing, which this is what I was mad about, as opposed to me realizing that many of these experiences that some people identify as transcendent, that some people identify as empowering, that have been clinically demonstrated to be helpful, all can be easily manufactured. And that's what I was upset about. Not that you believed it was the Holy Ghost, but that you kept me from understanding it. And by keeping me from understanding it, I'm up here praying for shit to happen when I can just be hitting the right notes. Like, no. I like understanding the mechanics. Leave the mystery for the mysterious folk. I'm not a mysterious person. I want the mechanics. Because then, no, I know I can make that happen. And so, like, I meditate. I attended a meditation wellness check-in yesterday on our campus. Head of community did it because she also leads the wellness club. Like, no, so now I know how to make myself feel good. I know how to boost my own whatever moans in there. All right. So, dang it, like I didn't expect to be going this much off of the riff. I really didn't. So, what I know already is that I'm not getting through all of my notes today. But the good news is that well, for those of you who get the course, I'm going to point in both areas. For those of you who get the course, you can still get the full notes, and that's kind of helpful, right? All right. Um, all right, so basically, sociology helped me reinterpret what Christianity taught me to spiritualize. And it was the spiritualization of things that could be actualized was the problem. Like, I don't need this to be spiritualized if it's actualized. You know, like I'm okay. I'm okay with you spiritualizing, and this is me at that time. I'm okay with you spiritualizing something that cannot be explained. But we are now taking phenomena that can 100% be explained and replicated dependably and pretending that it exists in the realm of mystery. Now that is practicing ignorance. Okay? Like, oh, no. When you're doing that, you are practicing ignorance. When you like this phrase started to bother me. Like, I don't know how he did it, but he did it. Like, you'd pay to go to leadership conferences with people who had built their churches from like 30 to 30,000, and you done paid money to go there to learn, like, wow, how do I build such a successful engine? And it's gonna be somebody who's gonna get on that mic and say, I don't know how God did it, but if you keep praying and if you sow a sacrificial seed today, I believe somebody has $2,000 with my name on it. Come on, somebody. You know, you don't know how it happened. After a while, that, like, for a mind like me, it just starts. In the beginning, you kind of believe it, but then after you spend a little bit of money, you're like, wait a minute, If you don't know how you did it, you knew that before you put this event together. Because you put this event together like you about to give us the secret sauce. And I feel like you just scammed us, you know? And see, that's the thing. When you're living in an environment of practicing ignorance, you don't have to believe you scamming people to be scamming them. That's what people are underestimating. You're underestimating what an environment of practiced ignorance is capable of. And I don't know, maybe that's why I'm so grateful for sociology. This is why I'm so grateful for the social sciences. I'm grateful for voices like Emil Durkheim, Max Weber. I'm grateful for the work of even like people like Hubert Henry Harrison. Y'all ain't ready. Martin Delaney, who kind of went off a few times. Because I think it's because of that played such an important bridge that me leaving theology, it didn't leave me with a sense of emptiness or nihilism or confusion or moral chaos, you know? Like, I mean, there was this brief moment where I was just like, I should just become a hoe. Like, but that's not moral chaos. That's exploring the options. Some people do that. I think I'm just gonna be a hoe. And I think that's no, that was a real thought. I just welcome into my mind. And that was a real thought in 2014. 'Cause it sounded like I've been faithful and doing everything right. And I'm like, I ain't being a hoe is an option now. How do you feel about that? Let's wrestle those options. Like, no. But leaving theology, it didn't make the world meaningless for me. It made the world more readable for me. When theology stopped working, the world didn't become random. The world was random before then. You know, it was this random duality where everything is either for you or against you. In a world where also everything is somehow working for your good because you love the right person and are called according to their purposes. Like when you say that stuff out loud as a thinker now, you're like, wait a minute, there's the B clause has nothing to do with the A clause. Okay, everything works together for the good of those who love. How does that work? Like, no, this is problematic. In a world where the genie doesn't exist, this is problematic. It's irresponsible. It's irresponsible to teach the it's irresponsible. Like, imagine reinforcing Santa, knowing that Santa doesn't exist. It's fine to do that up to 12, I guess. I didn't, but it's fine to do that up to 12, I guess. But at some point, we as a society realize it would be irresponsible to be reinforcing a Santa Claus belief in adults where there is no Santa. That's going to lead to problems. Number one, people trying to get to the North Pole. Number two, people refusing to get rid of the family home because the new houses don't have chimneys no more. And so everybody's just trying to keep a chimney so Santa has somewhere to come down. Number three, the extreme disappointment when your kid's looking at you because Santa didn't bring no gifts and you just as heartbroken as they are because you don't know why he didn't bring the gifts. All of these are problematic. But yet theology does the same thing. I'm struggling to find a safe version of theology because I don't think people really understand the problem with it. The problem isn't just that it's wrong, it's that it creates false hope. Like it creates false hope. hope in things that are not dependable. After a while, you begin to lose an attachment to what hope really is. Mm. So people didn't become less meaningful for me. Suffering didn't become less serious. Morality didn't disappear. Community didn't start mattering. Like even when I was thinking about, like, hey, I think I might be a hoe for a while. I was still gonna be a moral hoe. I'm gonna be out there killing people. See there? See how I did that? But what changed was the lens. What changed was the willingness to explore what things meant and how they operated, as opposed to inheriting answers that didn't answer anything. So I stopped asking what invisible forces behind this, and I started asking what social forces are shaping this. Before theology, before sociology, theology gave me categories for everything. It gave me real easy words to pull on, like sin or calling. I'm called, I'm anointed. Well, that's just favor, and favor ain't fair, nor is it sensible for a God who said to not show any favoritism. It's so weird. You get words like curse. This is why, like, I feel bad for people when they say, "Oh man, I really want to support your content, but I don't like, the profanity." And I'm like, "Oh, you still believe in magic?" I mean, I hate to say that, but I don't hate to say it. I mean, it's what it is. I've known that since before I even became a pastor. Like that, like I wasn't cussing from the pulpit or nothing, but all of my members knew that I cussed because I don't believe in magical words. No, it's a word. If someone can say shoot around you and you're fine, but then they say shit and you about to lose your mind, that's a personal problem. Like, you need to see somebody about that. I know it's been so normalized that we think that that's somehow okay. Like, no, that's problematic. You get triggered by vowel changes. That's I'm just saying. So you get this language from theology, things like rebellious and obedience, and that was one on me. You just got a rebellious spirit, young man. You know, you get words like deliverance and backsliding and strongholds and God's will and the enemy. And all of these are nice little categories where you can neatly place things. But the point is that these were not just random religious words, they train you to interpret reality. And that's really, this is what I say, like theology is problematic because it claims to interpret a branch of reality that it has no experience in, it has no practice in. Like, this is how people die in prayer circles. And I shouldn't have put the quotes on die. This is how people die in prayer circles. That was better. Because everything in a spiritualized moment, everything becomes spiritual, even if it's biological, even if it's psychological, even if it's neurological, even if it's sociological. At that moment, it gets pushed in into this neat category. That's the devil. This is a demonic attack. This is a stronghold. Phenomenological. I like that. It's like, no, it all gets packed under a label, even though, like, the manifestation, the phenomenon is completely physical. But we're skipping physical explanations, physical causes that actually exist. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to get these explanations, which furthers the willful gap between what we explain and what we actually understand. I felt sorry for parents of autistic children in Pentecostal churches. Because, wow, it was always going to be a moment to try to cast out a devil. They train you, these words train you to interpret reality without giving you an explanation of the explanatory power or that supports explanatory power. So charisma becomes anointed. See, all these years, I firmly believed that I was anointed because I'm charismatic. Yeah. And sure, at one point, the very term charisma has a connection to that at a long time ago. And we figured that out way back then. But because there's already this language that says this is why, and it's kind of protected, there's no room to say, well, what if there's another reason? What if there's a reason that better explains this? Maybe I'm not so good at this because I've been picked by the sky genie. Maybe there are some measurable characteristics about me that are not unique to me, that are shared by other people as well. It's like, well, what could that be? Oh, charisma. Look at there. The emotional reaction of a crowd becomes the spirit moving. Someone enduring mistreatment becomes faithful. It pushes you further and further away from what a thing actually is so that it fits better in the headcanon of the fan fiction. So it's like theology doesn't just tell people what to believe, it tells them what to notice, what to ignore, and what to call things. And just to give a really simple but popular example of that, even when theology is not oppressive, even when theology is not hateful, it's still problematic. It can be a theology of God is love and God is provision and God is abundance. All those are beautiful things. But sometimes even that good theology becomes problematic. And just a common example to use is that somebody is really down on their luck financially, right? And they pray and they pray and they pray. And they also ask and beg and ask and beg. And then finally, one of the people they asked and begged decides to, you know what? I'm going to help you out this time. And so they write the check or send the wire or do the CashApp thing. And then when the story gets told, theology has already told them what to notice. Theology has already told them what to ignore. Notice the praying, ignore the begging. Don't call it a friend helping you out, call it God making a way. So like even when the theology seems good, in the absence of the genie, in the absence of the genie actually doing the work, the agency has to be assigned somewhere else as well, you know, but the credit still goes to the inactive thing. And in a very real way, it dehumanizes help. Oh, damn, this is good. In a very real way, it dehumanizes help because you're not helping me. God is helping me through you. It dehumanizes help. Well, if you didn't help me, God was going to make a way anyway. It dehumanizes help. And that's just an example of theology that no one would think was harmful. But that's because most times I don't think we're thinking about the problem of theology in itself, you know. So I'm not saying that that sociology gave me all the answers. I'm saying sociology gave me better questions. Instead of why is this person sinful, I now ask like what shaped this person? What environment trained this behavior? What incentives rewarded? What fears protect it? What group norms reinforce it? What structures benefit from it? Like now, like I am never surprised that someone has a different view of the world than I do. And that's one of those subtle tricks of theology is it forces complication into oversimplification. Yeah. It forces complexity into oversimplification, oversimplified narratives. That makes it really hard to deal with the complexity of the world that we actually live in. Like I always kind of tell this joke, like, you know, because every time you see something happen on television, the people are interviewing the neighbor, and the neighbor's like, no, I can't believe that. And if you interview me about any of my neighbors at any time, my answer is always going to be, oh, I can see that. I can. So instead of asking stuff now like, hey, why is the devil attacking this church? I started asking what conflict is being suppressed? Whose power is being challenged? What truth is threatening the institution? What does the group lose if people ask better questions? You know, instead of asking, why did God move in the service? I'm asking now, like, no, what was produced? How did the music, the repetition, the crowd behavior, expectation, and emotional vulnerability shape the experience? Oh, I got to put this up. This is too good. What you expect from a person generally says more about you than it does about them. Oh, that's so true. That is so true. And so when I say sociology replaced my theology, it didn't just give me new words for old religious ideas. It gave me a better method for actually understanding them. So now I can look at things and not have to jump to these pre-written scripts. I can actually look at something and be honest and say, I either understand this or I don't understand this, and look for the mechanisms that can help me get a better understanding in a useful way. And I am kind of like an extreme pragmatist in that way. Like understanding has to have some utility for me. Because that was the problem, like with a lot of spiritual understandings. You give me a spiritual explanation, and I still can't do anything with that. But once I understand the mechanics, I can repeat the experience. See, to me, I find that much better. Instead of interpreting things through sacred categories, I learned how to investigate through patterns, structures, incentives, norms, institutions, and power. Now, this is why people don't like me when I don't jump on bandwagons with them. It's like, oh, because that's not, I don't categorize like that. I need patterns. I need structures. I need incentives. I need norms. I need institutions, and I need power. You know, I need to understand all of those. I need to understand all of that context to come to a conclusion, especially about a person. You know, like I've been asked to call people names and stuff like that. I don't want to say names. That makes it sound more childish than it is. I mean, it's still pretty childish, but like I've been asked to join, you know, like label campaigns, you know, like, and this is like last year stuff. And I was like, oh no, I'm not going to do that. And people got really mad at me, like really mad. And I said, I'm sorry, but as a sociologist, I don't see it the way you see it. You know, all of the other reindeer, that's hilarious. Theology often explains by declaring meaning from inside the belief system. But sociology asked what can actually be observed, and can we see this process repeated? Can we compare it to other institutions? Can we identify who benefits from the explanation? Can we see how people are socialized into obedience? Can we explain why similar harms keep happening even when the theology claims the system is holy? Now, this was definitely an interesting thought for me, and I'll share it with you all. It's not in my notes, but that is a moment where I was definitely realizing like we as humanity has a problem and theology is not helping. And that is a problem where to now like the more we dehumanize harm, the more we create more harm. So when we find out that something creates harm, we decide to shame the ones who do the harm, right? Like that's become like our primary response mechanism. And while effective in some ways, what it allows us to do is to just call something wrong and criminalize the activity while not doing anything about answering the question of why does this keep showing up in our species? And that's where the real work needs to be done. You know, the real work is not like, oh, why do certain people do this? The question is why is this a recurring behavior type in humanity? What about the way that we do society produces this type of behavior? And are there any subcultures or subsects of society that does something differently, and we can see in an observable way that behavior doesn't reoccur? You know? See, those are deeper questions, but that's where the work needs to be done. Otherwise, I fear that our approach is just vote as many as the bad people off the island until we got only good people left. And again, that's just the snake eating its own tail. That's not solving anything. It's a what? Aurora Boreas? I mean, just a snake eating your own tail. But a lot of times, that's how we approach pathology. This is how we approach even what our sense of justice is. Yeah, let's just identify as many bad people as we can, and then get rid of them, and then everything will be fine. And it's like that thought process comes from theology. That's how gods who live in a world without consequence for them make decisions. But we live in a world where we reap our consequences. And so we actually have to find ways to solve our problems, not hide them. Mm-hmm. Oh man, Emil Durkheim is like, he's the GOAT, man. He's the GOAT. You know, so and that's really been the difference for me. Theology told me this is what is spiritually happening. Sociology asked what is socially happening. So instead of pretending you have an understanding, let's actually try to get some understanding. And that becomes a much more exciting process for me. I'm excited to get an understanding, especially an understanding that is not just ego flex. You know, I don't like that was one of the most beautiful things about breaking away from religious. I gotta give this another word because I've seen this in a secular community too, but just this type of religious uselessness, is that what I call it? It's just like the whole point of knowing anything about God is just to say that you know. That is not a flex. And so, like, I see that the same thing on the secular side. No, this is how you explain. Like, allow me to be coach for a minute, okay? Because, like, you can't keep praising a losing team. No, this is how you explain the losses. At some point, when you get in the gym, it can't be we're losing because they're playing dirty. Like, this game has been going on way too long. I'm sorry. It has to be, wait a minute, what are we not doing? Like, the answer, the flex cannot be, I just know how things should be, even though I'm not committed to doing a damn thing about it. That's not a flex. The flex can't just be, we have a lot of good opinions, and yet none of us are invested seriously enough in our opinions to be building anything based off of what we need to see. Now, this is why political people get mad at me, because people want to come to me and talk to me about their politics. And the first thing I'm going to ask is, where are you practicing your politics? Practice what you preach. You keep telling me this, y'all gonna make me go there, and telling me that. Saying once I'm with you, I'll never go back. You say there's a lesson that you want to, teach. Here I am. Practice what you preach. That's my question. Where are you practicing this at? Man. Whew. So, and I'm gonna start winding this plane down in a few things that sociology did for my former theology is that sin went out the window. Like, it's just gone. It's gone. I have a guest coming up in July. His name is Christian A. Smith. Christian has a similar story to mine, but he's not an atheist. He's a spiritual humanist, but he went through his journey while pastoring and was really just more so in the vein of Carlton Pearson. And so I'm gonna have him on the channel to just talk to him about his process and what he's done, because he leads a congregation of believers and non-believers. And I'm like, okay, that's something I want to talk about. I want to know what, how, like, what does the song sound like? So I got a lot of questions, but one of the biggest things about his approach, and we'll talk about this when I have him on the show, is that he has evolved in his personal theology to where sin is just harm. And so if something isn't causing harm for him, it doesn't meet the merit of sin. If something is causing harm, regardless of what any book says, to him, it's sin. And I'm not mad at that one bit. This is one of the reasons I'm inviting him on the channel to talk. But for me, it was a similar process, but just sin just went out the window altogether. But some almost from a very similar situation, because Christianity often explains human behavior through sin nature. People are selfish because they are fallen. People lie because they are sinful. People harm others because humanity is broken. But see, if you notice what each one of these do is they actually keep you from asking the question that would actually lead you to the answer. So if people are selfish because they are fallen, then you never actually do the research to discover, why are people selfish? You already have the answer. Well, they're selfish because they're fallen. People only lie because they're sinful. Or it gets worse than that. People lie because the devil did something one day. Like one of the most insidious aspects of theology that I don't think gets called out enough is that it disconnects people from cause and effect thinking. That's dangerous. And it's not even just dangerous in this slippery slope type of way years from now. No, we just go to the past and come to the present. We can see where entire communities have been infected by practiced theology. And we can see what it has done to them culturally. We can see what it has done to them economically, because it disconnects you from cause and effect. Cause and effect thinking doesn't it doesn't exist. So now in communities that have been infected with that type of theology, if violence or crime becomes a problem in the community, the answer is, well, this is happening because they took prayer out of school. Yeah. This is what happens when a people are generationally deprived of cause and effect thinking, engaged in it rigorously. Thankfully, when I was growing up, children's television was still about education. So we had those like little pattern recognition games that come on. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things is not like the other. That was helpful. We have more stuff about empathy. I don't know if y'all remember Allegra's Window. You know? So now sociology, it doesn't remove responsibility. Pokemon. It gives behavior context. So calling something sin may tell you that a behavior is wrong, but it doesn't explain why that behavior keeps appearing in predictable places under predictable conditions. And that's what I'm more interested in. Mm. Like you get a better understanding. At, at the end, close to the end of my first marriage, I was still traveling and preaching, and I traveled typically with one assistant, but this time I had two with me. But it wasn't nothing like sedity like that. We were all fairly close as well. But so we traveled and we stopped at my cousin's house. My cousin was a college female student at the time. And we get there and she had some friends over there, also college students and female. And they had been drinking, you know, and they're college students and they're female. And I wasn't too far away from college age at this time. But and so we were just hanging out for a little bit, and about 15 minutes after being there, I looked at one of my assistants and I said, "You know what, y'all? Let's go get something to eat so we can come back and chill," you know? And they were like, "All right, cool, cool, let's do that." And so we get in the car, we start driving. They said, "What do you want to eat at?" "Let's just keep riding until I see something," you know. And then we riding. About 35 minutes in, he looks over at me. "We not going back, are we?" No. No, 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 no. No, no. Because by that time, I was learning enough They're like, no, I'm about to create a problem if I stay here. There's no need of doing this. I'm a married man. I don't need to be here. I know what the expectations are, not by the people, but by the social environment that we're creating for ourselves. We got the heck up out of there. My assistant was upset. But people are trained by family, culture, church, school, media, class, race, gender norms, and peer groups into ways of seeing and behaving. This is why I'm never assuming that someone else is seeing a situation the way that I'm saying it, the way that I'm seeing it. And I resent when other people assume that I'm seeing it the way that they're seeing it. I'm just like, I know understanding differences is not valued on this side of the world, but to me, I value understanding differences. I value appreciating differences. That's one of the ways I'm able to keep myself from really trying to police other people because I just don't know enough. You know, I do think most behavior that comes from people are part of their personal triggers. But I'd have to know them personally to be able to come to that conclusion. Like, I think theology, and this is why I say we can be gone from it, like not in it anymore, but still be suffering in the bathwater of theological thinking. And that's just basically assuming you know something that you actually haven't tried to know. That's like the basis of the problem, assuming you know something that you didn't do the work to actually know. Yeah, how did you do the work to know that? You know? Mm. Spiritual. Come on, had nothing. I love that, Jude. So everybody is shaped by their lived experience. I'm like if I sat down with you and talked you through my life, you'd be like, you'd either understand why I am, or you'd be like, I don't understand why you're not worse. That's what my wife says many times after meeting my family. She's like, yeah, I don't. Sometimes you hear somebody's stories and you think they're exaggerating because people do tend to exaggerate. It's fun. I was blessed with a life so horrible, I don't have to exaggerate. It just is what it is. But the problem is, it's not. It was only horrible to me. For everybody else, is normal. Oh, this is some tough life lesson right here. So it's normal to them. I'm the outcast. Mm. Oh, but I broke up with normal though. Like I was like, I'm so good not being normal. I am so good not being normal. All right. All right. So I at least have to give y'all some sociological terms. There's no way I'm getting through all of this, but I got to give y'all some terms. But we're basically talking about socialization at this moment. And that's what I really begin to understand is that people are shaped by their lived experience. It is not as simple as people waking up every day and flipping a switch that says today is going to be a good day or today is going to be a bad day. While yes, I 100% preach the gospel of responsibility. If you around me, like you're gonna have to hold yourself responsible to just an uncomfortable level. But I do not believe the complexity of life can be reduced down to solely choice. Choice and consequences are a lot. Like, please, I don't want to underestimate that at all. Choice and consequences are a lot. But choices don't come out of thin air. They're shaped by how we've been socialized. It was Pierre Bourdieu who came up with this idea of habitus, which this is the idea that people carry embodied dispositions shaped by their environment. People do not just choose from nowhere. They develop instincts, tastes, fears, expectations, and survival patterns based on the world that formed them. And so sometimes some of the most unproductive behavior you see from other people is coming because this was a survival mechanism. And many of them have never been in a room safe enough to ever even challenge the thought, is this surviving mechanism actually helping you survive? And that creates a sort of disassociation for people, where I'm doing this because this has always protected me. You know, I'm doing this because this is how I've always had my back. And at some point, it was really necessary. But have you had any breathing room to realize, like, oh, I fought so well that I fought myself out of having to fight like that again? Y'all see, like, these are the conversations that are bigger than what's wrong with the Bible. These are the conversations that make community a necessity. It's a social technology. It is a necessity. People need safe ecosystems that allow them to process things that were healthy yesterday that are becoming toxic today, because that's a part of the complexity of life. I used to use a type of dye in my hair. I used it like maybe 3 or 4 times with my barber. And then I stopped for a while, but it was nice. It was called Beijing. It was all the craze. Apparently people are still doing it. It has just gotten much more expensive, and they've added chalk outlines to them for whatever reason. I am one of those people. Please don't get mad at me if this is your profession, but I feel like the cosmetology industry, as far as beauty salon owners and barbers, I think they've taken it too far. I just think. But anyway, so I'd get my beard dyed up, and I used to have hair. So I'd get my hair dyed up, and it'd just be like pitch black, and it's really cool. It was really cool. I've been balding like since I was in my 20s. Apparently I get it from my grandfather, who I never met. And so I enjoyed it. I did it, like I said, about 4 or 5 times, and I'd stopped for a while, and then I decided that I wanted to do it again. And then I went and did it again, and I got it on there. Everything was looking good. And the next day my face was out here, and I'm like pulling stuff out my eye that looked like parasites or worms or shit. I was terrified. And what happened was, and I'm going somewhere with this, I developed an allergic reaction to the dye. And that's what I meant. There are certain things that could be healthy for you, that could have been healthy for you yesterday, that are toxic for you today. And sometimes when you don't have a community that's safe for you, you never get to find that out. You never get to find out how many of your behaviors are actually now that you originally had them to help you, and now they're harming you. That's how quick life can change. You ever turn 28 and develop an allergic reaction to latex? There's only a few ways to find that out. None of them are comfortable. There's also labeling theory. Society does not merely respond to behavior, it names behavior, and those names shape how people are treated. So people learn what's safe, what gets rewarded, what gets punished, who loves, what love costs, what power allows, and what survival requires, and they mainly learn it through labels. And so I can say, as a Black man from the South, there were certain labels that you knew once put on you are problematic. You know, one of those labels was smart. If you were considered smart as a young Black man, you kind of knew that meant you were unsafe. At least for me in my context. I don't want to speak for all of us. But also another word, and this is come show you that I don't kind of play with you. Another word was gay. You knew that if this was a word that was ever put on you, you would be unsafe. This is a product of labeling theory. And so then you have people trying their hardest to avoid certain labels for their safety, not their authenticity. Man, this is good. Now, I'm not saying this removes responsibility. I'm saying this is what makes responsibility more honest. If harm is socially produced, then moral condemnation is not enough and has been historically ineffective. You have to ask, what kind of families, what kind of economies, what kind of schools, cultures, and institutions keep producing the same type of wounds? We have to start asking, what can we do differently? We have to be able to ask, how could we have done better? But we've lived in a place where we've inoculated ourselves with this idea that we've all done the best that we can. And the danger in that, and again, that still comes from that theology thinking. The danger in that is, if all of us have already done the best that we can, then the best is already behind us. And I don't want to live in a world where our best is behind us. That means we're on the decline for real. I want to live in a world where our best is always ahead of us. But that only happens when we're willing to no longer be satisfied with answers that we did not earn. So, no, if a situation is truly hopeless, I want to earn that hopelessness. I want to know that I have exhausted every resource at my disposal to earn that hopelessness, to know that, oh, yeah, ain't nothing we can do about this. Things that I used to call spiritual warfare, I begin to understand through sociological terms, such as group boundary maintenance. We begin to realize that groups protect identity, and this isn't unique to church folks. And this is what I love about it. This is about people. I think the last 5 to 10 years I was active in Christian ministry, that had become one of my favorite sayings, that people are people. But groups protect their identity by defining who belongs, who is dangerous, and what ideas are unacceptable. Moral panic. A community exaggerates a perceived threat in order to preserve control or reinforce shared norms. Do you know how you protect yourself from moral panic? You ask for the evidence. And 9 times out of 10, nobody's just walking around with the evidence. I mean, that's fair. But it's not even the expectation of them being able to provide you the evidence that you're really judging it by. It's what they respond to. It's how they respond and what they consider evidence. You know? So, the Satanists are putting razor blades in the Halloween candy on Halloween night. So number one, that's so specific of a claim to me. I'm like, how do you know the Satanists are doing this? Why is it razor blades? And why is it on Halloween night? These are all things that make sense from inside the system where you've already categorized something as evil. But in a world where we need understanding, I'd have to ask, how do you know any of this? Well, I saw it on Facebook. Or well, Sister Keisha had a friend that said, okay, so you don't know this. And just follow that trail all the way back. That's for as long as you got time. People's is people's. I started understanding social control, where institutions use rules, shame, punishment language, and belonging to regulate behavior. And it was these things that I had seen. No, I sat in meetings where the pastors and the staff are making sure a certain narrative is directed. You know? No, because people who leave got to look like they're struggling. No, it gave me language for things that I had seen, but I felt like my honesty was betrayal. And that's one thing that meant language gives you the ability to be honest with yourself, because then it lets you know that no, somebody else was seeing this too. Somebody else was wrestling with this too. It gives you that place of like, oh, I'm not the only one. And so that's when you start seeing stuff like spiritual warfare. Was often the name we gave to the anxiety that institutions felt when control started slipping. Oh, we under spiritual warfare now. Oh, the money dropped again, huh? This church is under attack. Oh, so they found out you sleeping with several people's wives. No. A lot of what churches call attack is just accountability arriving without permission. Oh man. You know, it's like once I saw churches behaving like other institutions under threat, I no longer needed a demon to explain institutional panic. Sociology helped me compare the church to the other power systems instead of treating it as spiritually exceptional. And it's at that moment that you begin to see what it is. And it's just like, oh, again, kind of like, like I've often said, like my reason for not believing in God is because I've tried life with God and I've tried life without God. And the one thing I can say for sure is that God as a variable doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. If anything, it becomes more of a hindrance if you actually believe in the genie. I have much more respect for the people that claim the genie and don't believe in the genie. And respect is not a great word to use there. But I have much less concern about them, because those people who claim the genie but don't really believe in the genie, they're still doing what they need to do to move their lives forward and take care of their families. The people who claim the genie and believe in the genie, that's a problematic bunch. That's the bunch that say, I give my kids back to the Lord. You know? And I'm like, I don't know if you checked out the Lord's record, but bruh man don't pay child support. So think that through. I'll give you as long as you need. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But then even things like calling, right? Which these things were super spiritual. Look, remember I told you, I thought I was anointed, and I could always identify other anointed people as well. Like, oh yeah, that person's anointed there. And not realizing the only thing I'm identifying is charisma. And this person is charismatic. This person is expressive. This person is animated. They just loud. We just loud people. But I'm thinking this is something that God has done. But sociology is helping me. No, this is something that we are doing to ourselves for good, bad, ugly. I enjoy being a preacher. It's been my personality type since I wanted to do porn. See, before I was an actual Christian preacher, all of my friends knew, like in kindergarten, which tells you my childhood wasn't great. But in kindergarten, the two things I wanted to be was a porn star on Monday through Friday and a preacher on Sunday. There's a double P joke there, and I'm going to leave it alone. So, but because I was a pastor, my calling, especially in the beginning, was this really spiritual thing. But the more, and this is actually one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about sharing on leadership today, because I realize people still have a lot of that theology baggage when it comes to leadership. Because church gives people roles and identities. And for some people, these were people where they could not get roles and identity anywhere else in life. So this becomes life shaping. You know, there's more than one. Oh, snap. I love our community. So a person can speak, so they're called to preach. A person can sing, so they're called to worship. A person is emotionally intense, so they're prophetic. A person is nurturing, so they're called to pastor. A person is organized, so they're called to be an apostle. I just so happen to be all of those things and literally went through the phases of having all of those roles and all of those titles, because anytime someone would see a different characteristic, there was no other understanding than except for this has to fit into some spiritual umbrella. But sociology helps explain that communities notice traits, then name them, and then assign them function. Nothing spiritual needed. We're doing the same thing with Bridge City, technically. Jude does music. Jude does musical workshops. One of the roles that we need for Bridge City Global is a director of social arts, a person who makes sure we have Sunday ensemble type of music, an ensemble, is that right? Yeah. Person who makes sure that we have like artistic projects and stuff that's integrated with our Sunday sessions, integrated with our community at large. And so obviously we're like, oh yeah. But we don't have the need to say, oh, the Lord has chosen Jude for such a task and has anointed her from the crown of her head to the soles of her feet for a time such as this. Like, no. It's just kind of like, no, you have skills in this area. You have a desire to grow even more. And our community values those skills. To me, that's not just a clearer conversation. That actually helps people connect better to what's happening. Because now, if I'm disappointing you, I'm just disappointing you. I'm not disappointing God. You know how hard that is to be a worship pastor? And to think every time the Sunday song goes bad, it's because you just made God bad. You made God mad, and so God didn't show up. It could never just be like, oh, we just had a bad Sunday. They didn't like those songs. No, you got to have all this other extra stuff on it that's harmful. And so I'm not in any way trying to undervalue people's gifts or say that gifts are fake. No, gifts, skills, talents, all of those things are real. Spiritualizing them is what's unnecessary. People learn to perform socially recognized roles based on expectations attached to those roles. I am a fire communicator because I was shaped in an environment where preachers were rewarded because I became a preacher, and I took it seriously at a young age. But it also meant that I'm in an environment where other people do what I do, and they're really, really good at it. And I'm shaped by that. And I'm learning through them. what it even means for me to be that. There was Charles Cooley who talks about the looking glass self, where people develop identity partly through how they believe others see them. Communities help construct the self by naming, affirming, rewarding, and reinforcing certain habits. Now, I want you to think about that now. Because if a part of identity, if a part of what we learn about ourselves is based on what we see our communities rewarding, what we see our communities reinforcing or affirming, and yet we live in toxic communities, or we live in homogenous communities, or we live in restrictive communities, how much more difficult it makes it for people to find their fucking flow. Which is another one of the reasons that Bridge City is so awesome. We're one of the most diverse communities on the planet right now. Because we're really good, I think, we're really good at not participating in the march towards sameness. Which means we're committed to wrestling with the difference. We're committed with sitting with the comfort of difference sometimes. Y'all ain't ready. I think I'm gonna land the plane here because there's no way I'm gonna get through all of my notes. But even the concept of revival, and this was probably the biggest place because revival is where I spent so much of my time, because I know what it feels like to be in a room where the music is swelling, the preacher's tuned in, the crowd is responding, people are crying, hands are lifted, and everybody believes something sacred is happening. I know what it feels like. And I have such a diverse experience that I've done that in all types of rooms. I've done that in the more conservative circles. And when I say conservative, I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about the circles that don't move around too much. They don't clap too much. I've done it with them. I've done it with the weird white folks who be doing the flags and fairy dust and stuff like that. I've done it with the real churchy black folks who breathe real hard and might even tune up a little bit, shake them and rock them. No, I've done it. I've done it in the more hoity-toity churches where everybody is wearing a suit that look like they just came from a business meeting and only a few look like pimps. Now, I've done it in all the different environments, different music styles, different room expectations, yet the same phenomenon. You know? Sociology gave me a way to understand it. Music regulates emotion. Repetition creates expectation. I still write chants for that reason. Oh man, I know how to hack myself like it ain't nobody else's business. Crowds amplify feeling. That's that's one of the most powerful things as human beings that we share. And it's not restricted to just our communal experiences at church. We experience these things at concerts. We experience these things at sports. It's one thing to have the feel of your team winning while you're sitting on your couch watching it on television with just a few friends. It feels good for you. Yes, it does. But then imagine you're sitting in the crowd with a whole stadium, or at least half a stadium, filled with people who are on your team. That amplifies that feeling of pride. Crowds amplify feeling. This is measurable. Authority frames interpretation, which is why I'm always very careful to say, hey, I'm a point of reference, not a source of truth. Testimony primes responses. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I want you to stop thinking about this in a sneaky way all the time. You ain't got to be sneaky to do this. Sometimes if a professor is planning a lecture at a big place because he knows that people are uncomfortable being the first person to ask questions, He's gonna have some people in the audience there who are gonna ask questions. Most likely people on this team from school. They're already there. Even if you didn't ask, some of them are already thinking it. Well, let me go ahead and be the first person to ask questions so we can get some things rolling. This is understanding human behavior. Call and response synchronizes the group. That ain't just church. That's jazz. That's funk. That's hip hop. And then the altar call gives emotional release, a public ritual, which to me, like, I love public rituals. I love creating space for people to be human and sit with their emotions. Like those things don't have to be sacrificed. Like some people stay away from things that look like church. I stay away from things that look like harm. There's a difference. There's a difference. So I'm not saying that nothing happened. I'm saying that no, the greater problem is that something happened and we're misnaming it. Sociology helped me understand that the human nervous system, community, ritual, and collective emotion are powerful enough to produce experiences that people later call divine. The feeling was real. It's the interpretation that was inherited. This is where Emil Durkheim comes in. What he calls it collective effervescence. It's that heightened emotional energy people feel when gathered around shared symbols, rituals, music, and belief. This is why I kind of scoff when people say, oh, yeah, spirituality, that's nothing but psychology. And I'm like, oh, poor unlearned one, you uncircumcised Gentile. You know, like, no, it's so much deeper than that. You know, there's this heightened emotional energy people feel when gathered around shared symbols, rituals, music, and belief, which shouldn't be a surprise. That's why we still have the rituals, the symbols, and the belief. Things exist by far and large because they have some type of social utility. We do ourselves no favor of by not understanding the social utility. Being the one to break a system and being the one to make a healthy system are not the same things. This is America's biggest issue with race relations right now, is that the people who broke it are not capable of fixing it, but keep putting themselves in the fixing seat. This is not a problem you can solve because it wasn't a problem you saw yourself creating. Man. Repeated symbolic actions create meaning, unity, emotional intensity, and group belonging. That's called ritual theory. It's called ritual theory. This is why, like, we're a long way from this now. When I say long, it's not time, it's just infrastructure. But eventually, like, that's one thing that Bridge City will be specializing in, is training like a new generation of leaders who represent humanist values, but are grounded in sociology, anthropology, who understand hermeneutics from a secular perspective. Oh yeah, like, no, we're gonna have some real stuff. Like, don't get me talking about the future. Don't get me talking about the future. Sociology asks the larger question of why do humans report similar experiences in many different sacred and secular gatherings, and that doesn't, from our perspective, that doesn't make those moments less meaningful. It makes them more meaningful. It makes them more helpful. It gives us better options. This is why Bridge City is so important to me. I cannot wait. Like, number one, if y'all could have been in Southern California, you'd already know what the feel is like. And that's just having us in the room. That's not even building the spectacle aspect into it yet. That's just having us in the room together. But when you have us in the room together singing these songs, when you have us in the room together sharing these ideals, sharing these values, sharing that space with each other, just mark my words, like, timestamp this day and time. I think it's going to be world shifting. That's just me. I'm kind of in my Morpheus vibe today, so that's just me. I'm not prophesizing, I'm Morpheusizing. That came out a little lamer than I expected it to, but it'll work. It'll work. Oh, man. Sociology helped me understand that church hurt was not just about bad people and good systems. It helped me understand that's how systems are designed to protect themselves from the people they harmed. I had to wrestle with things like conflict theory, institutional betrayal, and even organizational culture, which is something that I'm big on. Paying attention to the unwritten norms, values, rituals, and expectations that shape how an institution actually behaves is something that I call we talk in an organization, because we is often an assumed pattern of behavior, and I'm always interested, especially when the we talk isn't, based around what we're doing, but what we're thinking or what we believe or what we value, because that tells me a lot about organizational culture, or at least as it's expected to be. And so the big thing is, and I think I did make it through all of this, is that theology says that meaning comes from God, but sociology showed me that meaning is socially created, that it's a construct. Families create meaning, communities create meaning, loss creates meaning, shared struggle creates meaning, hell, even memory creates meaning. So leaving theology didn't remove meaning. I didn't lose meaning when I left theology. I stopped outsourcing meaning to a system that taught me to distrust my own humanity. See, if I can't even be honest without feeling like I'm betraying the system, then I can't honestly say I know what meaning is. In that moment, you're not even really dealing with meaning. You're dealing with mandatory thoughts. So meaning didn't disappear. It meaning actually started to mean something in my life. Prior to that, meaning was me following someone else's script. Well, God has a plan for my life. That's not meaning. That's a mission. That's not necessarily meaning. But Peter Berger's work and Thomas Luckman shows that humans created shared meanings that becomes experienced as real and authoritative. That's the social construction of reality. Meaning is created and maintained through human interaction, language, symbols, and shared interpretations, which I showed y'all the little mind map that I had, that I created. And that literally shows me, in a sense, how we create meaning. So sociology didn't cheapen meaning by making it human. It helped me understand how humans make meaning powerful. Sociology destroyed my theology because it gave me explanations that did not require me to protect the conclusion before I started asking the questions. It let me study the church as a human institution. It let me study religion and religious experiences as human experiences. It let me study harm as a pattern behavior. It helped me study morality as social formation. And it let me study meaning as something people create together. And once I realized that human beings, cultures, institutions, rituals, incentives, trauma, power, memory, and belonging could explain so much of what I've been taught to spiritualize, theology stopped feeling like the deepest explanation. And it started feeling like the explanation that I had inherited before I actually had the better tools. And so now that I have the tools, I don't really need the Wizard of Oz anymore. Like, once you know what it really is, you're like, I can actually stop this witch hunt that I was following behind, because I know you're not really magical. And so now I can actually pay attention to life, learn from it, and live it. And because I know that there is no magic person who's given anybody the secret answers to anything, I don't feel like I'm behind. I don't feel like I'm missing something because I don't know something. All of that is 100% natural now. So when someone wants to do like this, I got you, like, oh, but you can't explain how the universe got here. That's not one of my goals, player. I've not even bought that book. So I don't feel bad about knowing that. I don't feel bad about not having answers to questions I haven't asked. That's the deeper beauty. So I went a solid 2 hours today. I did not expect that, but apparently this subject meant a lot more to me than I thought. As I told y'all, we're doing something different now. So if you want a deeper dive, you can check out the course materials on whichever side you see it on. That's the QR code up there. And if you notice, that's my face in the middle of the QR code. That's my animated face that was made for me like 2 years ago. I don't use it a lot, but I think I do put it on all my throwback videos. But so if you're interested in that course, you can get it right there. And it comes with, dang it, what was it? You get a study guide, you get access to a quiz that you can take and retake. We don't even keep your grades on it because that's really just for you. You get access to a web app to help you explore some of these concepts more. I even included a social theory and terms lexicon with this one. So I think that'll be helpful. There's a video explainer. There's even an AI podcast, but you can skip the AI podcast if you got 99 problems and AI is a big one. You can skip it. But if not, like, the podcast is actually really cool. It does a deeper dive on everything that my notes talked about, not everything that I've talked about, because it doesn't have this transcript. And you never know what I'm going to say when I'm live. So it probably doesn't catch the nuance of the double P joke. But maybe I'll do another one on there. I love it. Yes. Oh, I like that. Once you learn how the sausage is made, you realize half the people debating it have never seen the kitchen. Preach. Like show you right. Like that. Yes. That is so good. Like, that's a real feeling that I wake up to sometimes. Like, what are these people talking about? What are they talking about? But anyway, man, I love you all. Thank y'all for being here again today. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. We're going to give y'all some upbeat music as we close the stream. And of course, make sure, listen, even if you do, I don't care. You got something going on Sunday, don't forget to drop in for Sunday sessions. I know it's Father's Day. The majority of our team is pre-recording everything that day too, which is actually funny because nobody took off on Mother's Day on my team. And does that mean we have a problem? Because it's like reverse church. Back in the Christian day, like, everybody, like, Mother's Day was the big thing, but my team was like, Father's Day, we can't be working on Father's Day. I now have questions about this. All right, I'm just playing. I love y'all. Have a great day. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, until next time, keep rising.
don't sit around. Please don't settle now. We can do better now. We can get up. Please don't sit around. Please don't settle now. We can do better now.